Hello everyone, this is Al Red Sox Fan coming to you from Al Red Sox Fan YouTube channel, and we're going to bring you some Title Bout Championship Boxing, our heavyweight tournament. And today's matchup is Jimmy Young versus Ingemar Johansson. Jimmy Young has a rating of a 9 in Title Bout Championship Boxing. Never won the heavyweight title. His big win came over George Foreman, and caused Foreman to retire for the first time in Puerto Rico when he won the North American Boxing Championship, 12-round decision. He would lose to Kenny Norton in a title elimination bout, and when Ali refused to fight Norton, Norton was granted, when Leon Spinks, refused to fight Norton after defeating Ali, he was granted the heavyweight championship. Jimmy Young's one heavyweight bid was against Muhammad Ali, and he lost a very controversial decision in 1977. And again, he lost the title eliminator to Kenny Norton, another close fight. Jimmy Young was a very defensive fighter with not much pop out of Philadelphia. So let's take a look at Jimmy Young. Jimmy Young from Philadelphia, PA. Will weigh in for this bout at 210 pounds, 6'2". He did not want his reach to be measured. A very slick defensive fighter. Trainer Georgie Benton, cutman Al Galvin. And his record, 34 wins, 18 defeats, the majority of those coming at the end of his career. 3 draws and only 11 knockouts. Let's go to Jimmy Young's ratings. He's a boxer. Occasionally will foul. He never fights on the inside. He likes to stay on the outside. He covers up okay, and he'll clinch when he has to. Very little punching power, never goes for the knockout. It would be useless to him. Drawing power, not much of a draw. Very intelligent fighter, and very good at what he does, as he's 10 out of 10, 8 out of 10 here. Control versus a boxer, a slugger, 11 out of, I believe that's 15. Let's just take a look. 15. Some of these ratings change what they're up to, so I get mixed up sometimes. So 11 out of 15 for that. Pretty solid chin. 2. Same with chin versus the knockout, 2. Recovery, 2. Resistance to cut, he doesn't usually cut, though he did have a very nasty cut late in his career against Gerry. He absorbs punishment at a 2 rating. Killer instinct, 6. Again, if he has you hurt, he will open up, but very little punching power. Aggressiveness, 6. Endurance, 9. Defense, -4. That takes away 4 punches landed from his opponent. And as you can see, his hitting power is non-existent. 1, and that's out of 13. He'll work everything off the jab, and he'll throw combinations. That's his 2 best. He likes to throw the jab and the right cross and move away. Again, his overall ring title bout rating is a 9. Now let's look at Ingemar Johansson, the heavyweight champion. He won the heavyweight title by upsetting Floyd Patterson via knockout, would then lose to Patterson in the rematch, and then would lose again via knockout to Patterson in the rubber match. He will be weighing in at 199 pounds for this bout. Ingemar Johansson's from Sweden, nickname Ingo, big right hand called the Hammer of Thor. 6 feet tall with a 72.5-inch reach. I do believe Jimmy Young will have the reach advantage. Again, Jimmy Young did not want his reach measured. Johansson was European and World Heavyweight Champion, and he won the silver medal for Sweden in the 1952 Olympics. His only 2 losses did come to Floyd Patterson, as his record was 26 wins, 2 losses with 17 knockouts. go to his rating. Ingemar Johansson is a slugger. He doesn't foul a lot. He fouls seldomly. And he's 2s across the board for fighting inside, fighting outside, covering up, and going for the knockout. Clinches at a 69 rating. He was a drawing card in the late 50s, early 60s, 8 out of 10. Conditioning and intellect, well, Ingemar didn't like to train too much. And he just wanted, he wanted to throw the big right hand. Sometimes he waited too long to throw it. But again, in these bouts, all fighters will be at tip-top shape. Proficiency, when he does have his mind set to it, 10 out of 10. Boxing control versus a slugger or boxer, 10 out of 10. So Young should be dictating the pace from the outside in this bout. And he is susceptible to knockdowns, but Jimmy Young's not a big puncher. And his recovery, not so good. But this is a good matchup for Ingemar Johansson, as he's not facing a big puncher in any means in Jimmy Young. Aggressiveness, 10. Killer instinct, 9. Endurance, 8. So Young will have an advantage there. Defense is a +2 to his opponent. He's a fast starter. Hitting power, 9 out of 13. I do believe that's out of 13. Yes, it is. 9 out of 13, so well above average. He works off his jab, and he wants to land the big right cross or the overhand right, which is the hammer of Thor, as he calls it. His overall title bout championship box rating is an 8. Let's set up this bout, which will be at the Philadelphia Spectrum. Jimmy Young will be to the left of the screen. Ingemar Johansson will be to the right of the screen. And we're going to use fighter career stage in their prime. All bouts in this tournament are fighters in their prime. Conditioning check. Top condition for both fighters. Ingemar Johansson must be thrilled at that. He doesn't have to train, just go right into top condition. Trainer for Jimmy Young, George Benton, Cutman, Al Galvin. For Ingemar Johansson, his trainers Whitey Bimstein, Cutman, Freddie Brown. Let's go to the fight option. It's going to be a 15-round fight. Title bout championship boxing will be simulating the strategies for both Jimmy Young and Ingemar Johansson. I'll just be calling the bout. And the bout will take place at the Philadelphia Spectrum. Just find the Spectrum here. Let's do it this way. Philadelphia Spectrum. Philadelphia Arena. I know the Spectrum's in here. I've used it before. Maybe they called it the Philadelphia Arena. That's Municipal Stadium. For seating capacity. Go. Yankee Stadium. Again, we're looking for the Philadelphia Spectrum. Madison Square Garden, Philadelphia Spectrum. Convention Center. Alright, it's going to take place at the Philadelphia Convention Center. 15,000 seats over. Michael Buffer will be the ring announcer. And we don't want Terry O'Connor. We're going to have, for the referee, the referee will be Kenny Bayless. I kind of like Kenny Bayless. Let's see. Mills Lane. Strict. I don't want anyone with strict rules. Arthur McCanty Sr. Alright, the referees will be the usual suspects. Mickey Van, Larry Hazzard Jr., Mickey Van from England, Larry Hazzard Jr., Atlantic City, USA, and Dong Ung Park of South Korea. 3 judges will score the fight. A draw until 50%, and then the scorecard. Mandatory 8 count, 10-point must system. You can never be saved by the bell. And the referee or doctor can stop the fight. Let's go to the analysis. Young has a control factor, as we stated, against a boxer or slugger of an 11. Ingemar Johansson has a control factor of a 10 against either boxer or slugger. Young is a boxer. Johansson is a slugger. Young will have the advantage in controlling the bout with his ring generalship. Jimmy Young, virtually no power whatsoever. Ingemar Johansson, a big edge there. Young with a slight edge in endurance. Tremendous edge in defense, as Young should be able to peck apart Ingemar Johansson on the outside. And hand speed goes to Jimmy Young, though. Ingemar, not that bad with the hand speed. And tactical skills, definitely in the hands of Jimmy Young. Now on to the fight. Again, this fight will be taking place in Philadelphia, Jimmy Young's hometown. Georgie Benton is his trainer. Al Galvin is cutman. For Ingemar Johansson, the man from Sweden, the Hammer of Thor right hand. Whitey Bimstein is trainer. Cutman Freddie Brown. Philadelphia Convention Hall. Arthur McCanty, the referee. Mickey Van from England, 1 judge. Larry Hazzard, another judge from the USA. And Dong Ung Park of South Korea. Ringside expert for Title Bout Championship Boxing. You gotta be kidding me with this phone. Hold on a second. I apologize for the technical difficulties. We are back. Phone delay is over. God, I hate phone delay. And let's move on to the fight. So Jimmy Young enters the ring. Again, he's going to weigh in at 210 pounds. He enters the ring first. And here comes Ingemar Johansson quickly into the ring here at the Philadelphia Convention Hall. Weighing in at 199 pounds. Scheduled for 15 rounds. The winner moves on to the second round of our heavyweight tournament. The loser will go home. Ringside, covering the bout for the European trade, Beatles Eternally. And from the Seattle Tribune, D. Scott Howard. Hope all is well with both of you fine gentlemen. Fighters move to the center of the ring. They'll get their final instructions. No questions from the Young corner. No questions from the Johansson corner. It's time to do battle. Here comes round 1. And there's the bell. Johansson off his stool very aggressively, moving forward. Young meets him with 2 jabs and now a combination. Steps away. Young keeping distance. Continually pumping the jab out there. Johansson again eats 2 quick shots. Johansson just looking to load up. And there it is! The hammer of 4 lands on Young and staggers him. Johansson looking to load up with a big right hand. Misses with the left hook. Misses with the right hand. They tie up. Young pushes him away. Under a minute to go here. They tie up again. Young is still dazed. Johansson is not working. He lands the right hand, but not as effective as the first one. 20 seconds to go. Johansson rips a combination, landing the third. Down goes Jimmy Young. The hammer of Thor nails him again. Young is quickly up, and there is the bell. What a huge round for Johansson. He poured it on late in that round, the last 45 seconds, as he really just opened up once he rattled Young. And then, right at the end, he was able to land the hammer of Thor one more time, dropping Jimmy Young to the canvas. A huge 10-8 round for Ingemar Johansson. Very surprising, as he was very easily able to penetrate Jimmy Young's defense. It's a shocker to most observers and fans at ringside here in Philadelphia, the hometown of Jimmy Young. And Georgie Benton in the corner, along with Al Galvin trying to revive Jimmy Young. Let's quickly go to the scorecards. I give that an easy 10-8 round. And Young has to feel very lucky that the knockdown came right at the end of the round. Unofficial scorecard from Lee A. Crooks. 10-8 Johansson. Quickly go to the Young corner, and they're trying to revive their fighter. Georgie Benton tell him to use the jab, stay on the outside. Johansson was able to get his proper distance, and he just waited, didn't do too much of anything early in the round, and he finally landed the thudding right hand, the hammer of Thor as it is nicknamed. Stunned Jimmy Young, and again threw some punches, really didn't land hard, but was scoring. Opened up, and then again he had that opening, the overhand right, boom, and down went Young. Got up quite quickly, though. Galvin, rubbing his shoulders, now gives Young a sip of water. Let's move to the Ingemar Johansson corner. Whitey Bimstein extremely happy, hoping to duplicate round 1 and round 2, except this time with a knockout. Whispers something in Ingemar's ear. And now we get ready for round number 2. Can Johansson follow up and keep the momentum going? Here's the bell for round number 2. And quickly off the stool again is Johansson. But now he backs up as Young meets him with a 1-2. Johansson looking to stay at distance. And now they tie up on the inside and break. Johansson just really looking to land the right hand. The 1-2 by Johansson. A big right hand miss. Good defense by Jimmy Young, staying on the outside, looking to pick it. But those punches didn't. The hammer of Thor lands once again. Young is hurt. Johansson digs to the body, up to the head. A 1-2 missed by Young as Johansson slides back a bit. Now again, Young lands a 1-2. Ingemar waiting a little too long, just looking to load up. Jab, right hand missed. And he's countered by a 1-2. Young keeping good distance, sliding side to side. Missed with that counter right hand he did. Johansson not throwing. Again, a 1-2 is blocked by Johansson. They tie up on the inside, and there is the bell. Johansson won that round. It was a close round. He did rattle Jimmy Young once. As D. Scott Howard says, thunder and lightning. You are correct, D. Scott. Let's go to the unofficial scorecard. I give it a 10-9 round to Johansson, and so does Mr. Crooks, the unofficial scorer for Title Bout Championship Boxing. We move on to the Jimmy Young corner. Georgie Benton a little happier on what he saw. Young stayed on the outside, worked behind the jab, though he was rattled by a counter right hand by Ingemar Johansson. The hammer of Thor did land once with great effectiveness, though Young took it quite well. Benton says work everything off the jab. Now let's move to the Ingemar Johansson corner. Johansson, as he does in a lot of fights, was not ultra aggressive even after the knockdown. He stayed on the outside. He was fighting offensively, but he was trying to counter the counter-puncher, Jimmy Young. Whitey Bimstein's happy with what he sees. Freddie Brown applying a little grease around the eyes. Keep that skin moist. You don't want Ingemar to cut up. Freddie Brown saying be a little more active. Whitey Bimstein echoes the sentiment as we prepare for round number 3. And here we go for round number 3. The Ingo Dingo, Ingemar Johansson, has taken the first 2 rounds. Dropped Jimmy Young in the first. That's a 10-8 round. And then won a close but convincing round 2. Round 3, Johansson off the stool again. And he's staying on the outside. Both fighters looking to work behind the jab. Young being a little more aggressive, throwing the jab, but not landing as Johansson just continues to move away. And there's the counter right! Again he staggers Young. And he follows up with a 1-2. Young tries to follow back. And now they're just standing and trading. And Georgie Benton doesn't want to see this. Johansson is just letting his hands go as they're standing back and forth, a la Young and Kenny Norton. And back and forth they go. Young actually forcing Ingemar Johansson back. But the harder punches being landed by Johansson under 15 seconds to go in this round. They tie up. And there is the bell. A good action round. But again, a round for Ingemar Johansson. He landed the harder punches. Jimmy Young did come back punching. But it's a cannon versus a pop gun. The pop gun being Jimmy Young. Unofficial scorecard of Lee A. Crooks gives it 10-9 to Ingemar Johansson, as do I. He has Johansson up 30-26 after 3. I'm in agreement. Quickly go to the Jimmy Young corner. They have to do something to change the tide here, to reverse the momentum and bring it back to Jimmy Young. He's never had it since that knockdown late in round 1. Georgie Benton wants him to stay on the outside, work behind the jab, and if Johansson gets in close, tie him up. And he keeps telling Jimmy Young, you're underestimating that right hand, as it's coming much quicker than Young thinks, as he's been tagged over and over again. Let's move to the Johansson corner. They're very happy in what they see. They would like Ingemar to be slightly more aggressive, but Ingemar does his own thing, as you know, if you've seen an Ingemar Johansson fight. He's looking to load up and bang with that right hand, and he's been able to. Takes a swig of water from Whitey Bimstein, spits it out. We prepare for round number 4. It's been all Ingemar Johansson. Let's go to the statistics real quick after 3 rounds. And as you can see, Johansson has already landed 74 punches in total to Jimmy Young's 43. He has penetrated Jimmy Young's defense over and over again. And he has landed that right hand, the hammer of Thor, thunder and lightning, as D. Scott Howard put it, 21 times to the head of Jimmy Young. Can Young absorb that punishment over and over again? As we prepare for round number 4, and here's the bell. Young has to do something to take momentum away. Young trying to work behind the jab, but again Johansson is first, and Johansson's trying to bore in. They both fire and connect. Johansson continuing, boring in. Young working behind the jab, moving away, lands 2 quick jabs. Again Johansson, and there it is! The right hand lands again! Young felt it, but he digs to the body, up to the head, and again works behind the jab to keep distance. Johansson just leaping in, left hook to the body, right hand to the head. Young feels all those blows, and he lands a 1-2 as he moves away again. Johansson very aggressive in this round. Jimmy Young ties him up finally. A minute to go here in round 4. It's been Ingemar Johansson. Johansson trying to get on the inside. Lands another right hand. Young trying to work behind that jab. They tie up. Johansson's very easily able to get in his punching range on the inside. Not a great inside fighter. Adequate, though. And they tie up as there's the bell. Another good round for Ingemar Johansson, though Jimmy Young has been holding up well to those thudding right hands that have hit him upside his head. I give round 4 10-9 to Ingemar Johansson, and so does Lee A. Crooks. Johansson with a 40-35 lead after 4, in complete control of this bout. And this is a bit shocking to the fans here in Philadelphia who came to root on their favorite son from Philly, Jimmy Young. We go to a very concerned Georgie Benton in the Jimmy Young corner. And there's some swelling now that Al Galvin's working on. 18% swelling on the left eye. And you know why. It's that thudding right hand that's landing over and over and over again by Ingemar Johansson. The right hand that dropped Jimmy Young late in round 1. We quickly go to the Ingemar Johansson corner before we start round number 5. And they're very happy with what they're seeing. Johansson has boxed defensively from the outside, offensively from the outside, and now they want him to be aggressive, and he was in round 4. Cutting off the ring and walking down Jimmy Young, pounding to the head and body. Let's go to the stats quickly before we move on to round 5. Young was able to land his combinations off his jab, and he was active. He landed 26 punches, but there's nothing really behind it. Johansson just continues to pummel Jimmy Young. He landed 44. He is letting his hands go, and he landed his right hand over and over again 14 times. He's now landed it 35 times in the bout. Here's round number 5. There's the bell. Fighters off the stool. And again, Johansson very quickly attacking Jimmy Young. Young trying to keep distance, working down the jab. Lands a 1-2. He ties up now. He does not want Johansson to work on the inside, even though he's not a proficient inside fighter. Young is god-awful. And again, he ties up. Johansson tries to work the free hand as Young is trying to frustrate Johansson. He lands a 1-2 and digs to the body. Again, lands a 1-2 and moves away. Good round so far for Jimmy Young. Able to keep distance, and there's a 1-2 by Johansson. But again, 2 snapping jabs. Johansson and Jimmy Young digs to the body and moves away. Beautiful round for Jimmy Young so far. We are under 35 seconds. They tie up, push each other away. Another 1-2, and Jimmy Young slides away. Jimmy Young looking beautiful, and there's a big shot, and that landed right on the eye, and that swelling's gonna puff up for Jimmy Young. There's the bell. Young boxed beautifully in that round, but did get tagged right on that eye just towards the end of the round. That's the first round I give to Jimmy Young. Let's go to the unofficial scorecard. And so does... No! Wow! Lee A. Crooks still gives it to Ingemar Johansson. I disagree there. Where Crooks has it 5 rounds to none for Johansson, I have it 4 rounds to 1 for Johansson. So after 5, unofficially, we have Johansson ahead, though a 1-round difference. Let's go to the Jimmy Young corner, and he got tagged right at the end with that hybrid hook cross right on his eye. Swelling is down, though, to 16%. Al Galvin has done a good job. And that could puff up at any moment now. How many times that right hand has hit Jimmy Young upside his head. Georgie Benton's very happy with what he saw. Again, very little to no power on Jimmy Young's punches. He'll have to catch the Ingo Dingo on the way in to try to hurt him at all. Quickly go to the Johansson corner before the start of round number 6. And Whitey Bimstein's very happy in what he's seeing. Just keep throwing the right hand, Ingo. Freddie Brown gives him a sip of water, works some end swell around both eyes. As we prepare for round number 6, check out the punch stat numbers. Jimmy Young very active, working off the jab and the combinations. Landing 38 punches. Johansson was a little more economical, taking a little breather, it seemed, in that round. Even though he wanted to come in and work on the inside, he wasn't that concerned with moving his hands. 16 punches landed in total, but again, the most punches that he landed was the right cross, the hammer of Thor. As we prepare for round number 6 here in Philadelphia, can Jimmy Young keep up that momentum? And again, here comes Johansson like a Swedish tank, trying to get on the inside and grip and rip. Young wants none of it. He ties up, pushes him away. Both fighters throw, both fighters land. Yeah, Young slides away. A gun. Young with a 1-2 with an uppercut. And another 1-2. Working the jab. Johansson lands an uppercut on the inside. Minute 30 to go. Jimmy Young lets his hands go and moves away, keeping distance. Fighting offensively from the outside. Everything behind the jab for Jimmy Young. Johansson waiting, looking to throw the hammer of Thor, but Young keeping him off balance with movement and those jabs. Under 25 seconds to go here. There's the right hand, but Young slid away from it. And now a left hook, a surprise left hook stuns Jimmy Young at the bell. Johansson steals that round, in my opinion, at the bell. And it was a surprise left hook. As Arthur McCanny takes a peek at that Young's eye as he goes back to his stool. And he follows him back to the corner. That's never good. Let's go to the scorecard. I gave that a 10-9 round for Johansson. And the unofficial score, Lee A. Crooks, gives it even at 10-10. So after 6, we still have Johansson well ahead. But Crooks' scorecard is now 60-54. It's going to be very difficult for Jimmy Young to turn the tide of battle here as he has no punching power. Johansson took play away from Jimmy Young right in that first round. We go to Georgie Benton in the Jimmy Young corner along with Al Galvin. And that swelling has gone up now to 22%. And you can see Johansson just really targeting that eye. And they're telling Jimmy Young, you just have to be ultra busy and continue to throw punches when you're in your punching range. And they're telling him no more 1 and 2s. They want 1, 2, 3s. They know their fighter has no pop in the gun. Quickly go to the Johansson corner. Whitey Bimstein and Freddie Brown. Freddie Brown, a little light end swell work on both eyes. Bimstein gives Johansson a little sip of water. Johansson spits it out. And again, they whisper something into Ingemar's ear. And Freddie Brown says, just keep throwing that right hand. Throw it overtime. That eye's swelling up over in that corner, he says. Let's go to the punch stat numbers before we start round number 7. Johansson landed 28. Jimmy Young 22. It was an action-packed round for punches. I mean, the fighters are throwing, and Johansson is very active. And again, he worked off his jab, landing 11 jabs and 9 right hands. Where Jimmy Young did a lot of countering with his right hand. But again, no punching power from Jimmy Young. It's going to be tough to turn the tide of battle. And here's round number 7. And it looks like Ingemar Johansson wants to steamroll Jimmy Young right here and now. He comes out very aggressively. Young ties up, pushes him away. And a 1-2-3 combination by Johansson. Good scoring blows. And there's the big right hand again, and Young's legs wobble. The hammer of Thor lands. And that hammer of Thor misses. Young pops 2 jabs. And then a 1-2 combination in Johansson's face slides away. Young very slick, but he's caught again with that surprise left hook to the head and body. Johansson much quicker than Jimmy Young thinks. Young trying to work behind the jab, but Johansson just continues to come forward. It's not a constant aggression. As he takes a step back, they tie up now. Under 35 seconds to go, Johansson lands another right hand on that eye. That is swelling up. Left hook misses. Jimmy Young missed it. And there's 2 jabs by Young at the bell. Johansson is in a very nice rhythm in this fight. Very nice rhythm for Ingemar Johansson. His aggression, he comes forward a bit, lands his punches, and then slides left or right and throws a jab out there just to keep Jimmy Young off balance. The boxer is being actually outboxed right now by the slugger, even though he's being ultra aggressive. Very much a surprise to the fans and the ringside prognosticators here in Philadelphia. Another round for Ingemar Johansson, 10-9. Lee A. Crooks, after 7 rounds, have Ingemar Johansson up quite handily, 70-63. Again, it's going to be tough for Jimmy Young to come back in this fight. There is no punch. He has to hope to try to cut Johansson, in my opinion, or just with volumes of punches. Let's go to the Jimmy Young corner. And that swelling's up to 30% now. As Ingemar Johansson in his corner, they're looking to TKO Jimmy Young. And with the swelling, the defensive ability of Jimmy Young will be lessened because he will not see that right hand coming. And as witness, he has been tagged upside his head on many occasions by the thunder and lightning, the hammer of Thor, the right hand by Ingemar Johansson. Al Galvin continues to work feverishly on the swelling on the left eye. Georgie Benton is saying, you got to stay on the outside, let your hands go overtime, and on the inside, tie him up. Do not let him punch. Again, Ingemar Johansson, not the most proficient inside fighter, but much better than Jimmy Young, who does not want to fight on the inside at all. We move to the Ingemar Johansson corner. A very happy Ingemar Johansson corner with Whitey Bimstein and Freddie Brown. No nicks, cuts, bruises, or abrasions of any kind. Just the regular wear and tear of a pugilistic contest. Again, some light end swell work by Freddie Brown. Whitey Bimstein says, just keep hitting him with that right hand. That eye's going to close. We're going to win this bout. Let's go to punch stat numbers before we start round number 8. So, Ingemar Johansson landed 29 punches. Jimmy Young, 27. Again, a good action round, but there is nothing on Jimmy Young's punches. Johansson, again, worked everything off his jab, but he threw that left hook a little more to the head and body, surprising Young, and he landed seven thudding right crosses on Jimmy Young. Jimmy Young worked off his jab, hooks, crosses. He was busy. He threw the uppercut. Went in close trying to catch Johansson when Johansson was trying to dip in, and he hit him 7 times with it. A bigger puncher might have had some effect on Johansson, but Johansson just shrugs it off and comes forward. This was an excellent matchup, a very good draw in our random draw for Ingemar Johansson. Even for Jimmy Young, I felt it was a good matchup, but Young has not been able to get in a rhythm. Johansson, to the surprise of many, has been able to dictate the pace. And here we go for round number 8. And there's the bell, and Johansson comes out for the KO. He's looking to end it here. And Jimmy Young ties him up. Young knows his swelling. He's just, oh my Lord! Young tried to throw, and he got caught with a jab and a big right hand. He is hurt bad. And Johansson tries to get on the inside. Young ties him up. The referee breaks him. Arthur McCanny breaks him. He's looking at Jimmy Young. Young doesn't look too steady. 1-2 by Jimmy Young. He's standing toe-to-toe. Both fighters throw, but Johansson lands the stronger punches. Again, a 1-2 by Young, and he just steps back a bit, and the right hand misses. They're standing toe-to-toe. Young wants to land. A big right hand again lands on that eye. And Young is very wobbled. Under a minute to go. Left hook blocked by Jimmy Young. He retaliates with 2 jabs. And again, action-packed round. Lots of punching. But all the power from Ingemar Johansson. Again! And he follows it. Uppercut on the inside. So Johansson was on the inside. Let his hands go and came right through the guard of Jimmy Young. Right at the bell with the uppercut. Snapping Young's head up. And let's quickly go to the Young corner before we go to the scorecards. He is in bad shape. Jimmy Young, to his credit, stood toe-to-toe with Ingemar Johansson, trying to change the tide of battle. But he is taking a beating in there. Swelling up to 37% now, as Al Galvin continues to feverishly work on that swelling on that left eye. Georgie Benton telling Jimmy Young, you got to throw the punches just like you did. As they're telling him, you're way behind in this fight. And this is a shocker to me, folks. A shocker. Not that Ingemar Johansson couldn't win this fight. I just thought it was going to be a close fight. I even, in my mind, thought Young would pull out a decision. Well, that doesn't look like that's going to happen. Let's go to the unofficial scorecard. I give it to Ingemar Johansson. So does Lee A. Crooks for Title Bout Championship Boxing. And after 8 rounds and what you could call a sneaky beating to Jimmy Young, Ingemar Johansson is up 80-72 in complete control. As Jimmy Young is trying. He just has no ammo in those punches. Let's go to the Ingemar Johansson corner, and they are extremely happy in the corner. Whitey Bimstein gives Ingemar a sip of water. He spits it out. He says, try to work the body a little more, champ. Freddie Brown echoes the sentiment. Now let's go to the punch stat numbers before we start round number 9, as this looks like the beginning of the end for Jimmy Young. As the swelling has hampered his defensive abilities, he's just not seeing that right hand. Again, Johansson lands 9 thudding right crosses, sometimes straight, sometimes the overhand right. Landed 29 punches overall, worked everything off his jab. Again, not for the want of trying, Jimmy Young landed 23. He threw a lot of punches. He stood toe-to-toe, trying to slide, dip, and dodge and roll with the punches that Ingemar Johansson was throwing at him. We prepare for round number 9, and I don't know how Jimmy Young turns the tide of battle here. And there we go, and again, Young's going to stand toe-to-toe with Ingemar Johansson, lands 2 quick jabs, slides away, but then again gets in his punching range, hands held up high. Big right hand by Johansson, gets through the guard. Young cannot see those punches coming. Right-left again. Young throws, both fighters trading the harder punches by Ingemar Johansson. Young landing more frequently now. He is just flailing away. Ingemar Johansson dips underneath, comes up with a right hand. Good scoring shot. Very close round here, a minute 15 to go. They are standing within each other's punching range, looking to load up. Young loads up with jabs, lands 3 consecutive ones, misses with the right cross. Big right hand miss, and Jimmy Young lands his 1-2, slides away, hands up. Both fighters throw and miss under 10 seconds to go. Left hook catches Jimmy Young. And there's the bell. Young looking for the right hand, really protecting that right eye, and he got caught with the left hook. A close round. I give it to Jimmy Young. And that takes a lot of energy for Jimmy Young to win a round like that. No punching power. He's standing right in there with a hard-punching Ingemar Johansson. Let's go to the scorecard. And Crooks also gives it to Jimmy Young. So after 9, Young finally picks up another round on my scorecard, and his first round on the Crooks scorecard. Ingemar Johansson 89, Jimmy Young 82. That's a real difficult way to fight for Jimmy Young. As boxing has gone out the window, he's way behind. He has no punching power. What's forever to say? And he has to stand and trade, try to slide with the punches, deflect them, bat them away. We go to the Young corner. Galvin's actually got the swelling down to 34, so good work by Al Galvin. And Georgie Benton's encouraging Jimmy Young. He goes, that's what we want you to do. Be busy. Keep it up. As Jimmy Young will have to just out-volume Ingemar Johansson and try to get himself back in this fight. He did win that round. Let's go to the Ingemar Johansson corner. They're very happy with Ingo Dingo. They like what he's doing. Can't complain. They keep telling him, the one thing they're telling him is to work the body a little more, work the body. Though they did tell him in the prior round to try to throw the left hook, as Young is doubly cautious with the right hand, and he did tag him right at the bell with the left hook, so Ingo is actually listening to his corner a bit. Let's go to punch stat numbers before we start round number 10, and Johansson has a comfortable lead on the scorecards unofficially. Let's go to punch stat. And you want to talk about working overtime. Jimmy Young just threw and threw and threw, but he has virtually no power on his punches. Had he had any power on his punches, he would have done some real damage. He landed almost 15 blows. He landed 47 punches. A lot of uppercuts, a lot working off the jab. He stood in the pocket, rolling defensively when Ingemar Johansson threw punches and tried to deflect them. But he was busy. I don't know how long he can keep that up. That is a tremendous effort by Jimmy Young. All that energy just to win a round. Johansson landed 22 punches again. He was able to land that right cross 7 times. But Ingo feels like he's in total control of this fight. And let's just check out the traits after 9 rounds. And Jimmy Young's endurance is all but gone. And that's from the punishment that Johansson has dished out and the energy level that Jimmy Young has to emit to stay in this fight, because he's got to throw so many punches to try to overwhelm Johansson just to keep him off him. Here we go for round number 10. Can Jimmy Young keep up that pace? We shall see. I don't believe. And again, Johansson quickly off the stool. And there, Johansson actually walked into a right hand. He staggered a little bit, a la George Foreman, Puerto Rico. And Johansson comes right back with a 1-2. His legs are still a little queer. And he is tagged. Young is tagged with a 1-2-3. He backs up. Johansson comes forward, and the hammer of Thor lands on his chin. That swelling is bad. What is keeping Jimmy Young up? They throw, they tie up. Young fighting hard on the inside, throws an uppercut. Back and forth they go. They throw and miss. And now Young again digs to the body and up with the uppercut. Now Johansson digs to the body and the right hand to the head. Under a minute to go. Both fighters standing in the pocket, throwing punches. Throwing, missing, 30 seconds. Another big right hand staggers Jimmy Young. 10 seconds ago, right hand missed there. Young was able to parry it away. Mercanti's looking. There's the bell. Mercanti follows Jimmy Young back to his corner. That eye is a mess. A big round for Ingemar Johansson. Let's go to the Jimmy Young corner. A lot of concern in that corner as he was beaten from pillar to post. He cannot see pretty much out of that left eye. It's up to 49% swelling. He cannot see those right hands coming. And Ingemar Johansson, as D. Scott Howard has said from ringside, thunder and lightning. And he is landing it all. I don't know what else Al Galvin can do. An excellent cut man. He is working feverishly. I continually say it, but Jimmy Young, way behind in the fight, is standing toe-to-toe pretty much a la a way Jimmy Young would stand toe-to-toe. He's in the pocket. He's in the zone, the punching zone, because he has to throw punches. So he is not on the outside using his defensive skills. His defensive skills are being used on the inside, as Georgie Benton is just telling him to continue to throw punches. Let's go to the unofficial scorecard. Big 10-9 round. Possibly you could give it a 10-8, but both I and Lee A. Crooks, the unofficial scorer of Title Bout Championship Boxing, give it 10-9. Johansson with a commanding lead after 10 rounds, 99-91. And that's going to be insurmountable. Johansson did get staggered. He walked in to a right hand. Of course, it was Johansson generating the power as he dipped, was coming up, and as he was coming up, Jimmy Young hit him with a beautiful right cross, and Johansson did buckle for a moment. Young tried to follow up with it, but again, no pop in the pop gun for Jimmy Young. It's a pop gun versus a cannon. Let's go to the Ingemar Johansson corner. They are extremely happy. They are smelling TKO with the swelling of the eye or possible knockout. And they're just saying it over and over again, Ingemar. Throw the right hand, throw it overtime, throw it double overtime, and dig the left to the body. They're sensing that if they can dig that left to the body and then come up to the head with the right hand, they're going to drop Jimmy Young again like they did in the first round. Let's go to the punch stat numbers. Joining us from ringside, also now, Herb Pilgrim. As he says to D. Scott Howard, thanks for holding my seat. Herb Pilgrim reporting for the New York Post. Let's go to the stats. Jimmy Young, again, it's not for the want of trying. He landed 22 punches. He is throwing punches. And ironically, the jabs he threw were more range fighters, as unofficially he didn't land any. But he did land 6 uppercuts and 8 crosses. And the cross was the punch that briefly stopped the Swedish tank, Ingemar Johansson. As Johansson was trying to dip and come up, and he got tagged on the chin. A bigger puncher would have probably really done damage with that punch. Johansson, again, lands 49 punches. Jimmy Young is in the pocket. He has no He cannot fight defensively from the outside. He needs to turn the tide of battle, and he doesn't have the punching power, and he can't see the right hands coming. It would take a biblical miracle for Jimmy Young to win this fight. But stranger things have happened in boxing. We prepare for round number 11. Can Ingemar Johansson stop Jimmy Young? And that would be a tremendous effort here. Round 11. Here we go. Johansson quickly off the stool, and Jimmy Young's going to stand in the pocket, and he eats a 1-2-3. He can't see those punches coming from that side of the swelling. He cannot. Marciano is looking on. A 1-2 lands by Young, and now he puts his hands up high. And again, Johansson digs the body up to the head. As Young trying to protect the head is susceptible to the body, they tie up, and Johansson pushes away and lands on the way out. And the last punch, you guessed it, the right cross. Young blocks those punches, hands held high. As he comes forward, they tie up, and it's actually Johansson backing up a bit, trying to lure Young into a counter. And there it was! The big left hook missed. Young tried to, Johansson tried to counter with the left hook, and Young came back with a 1-2-3. And those shots on the inside get through by Johansson. And Young, down goes Jimmy Young! He is, well, I don't know if he's going to get up. The uppercut, right cross, the count's at 3. Young's up at 5. Marciano was finished the mandatory 8 under 30 seconds to go. Marciano is looking on. Johansson trying to swarm in, misses with the left hook. 10 seconds, and there's a thudding right and a left. Young is badly hurt, and there's the bell. Georgie Benton quickly comes out to grab his beleaguered fighter and bring him back to the stool so Al Galvin can work on him. I don't know how much longer Jimmy Young can go. Another knockdown by Ingemar Johansson. As the beating continues to get worse and worse for Jimmy Young. As Herb Pilgrim from ringside says, if Johansson doesn't win this one, the fix is on, LOL. Second time he's dropped Jimmy Young. The first time was at the end of the first round. Now let's quickly go to the Young corner. And Georgie Benton is asking Jimmy Young point blank, do you want to continue? He says yes. Galvin has gotten the swelling down slightly, down to 47%, but again, Jimmy Young cannot see the punches coming from that side. He's practically getting hit at will. Go to the scorecard, that's a 10-8 round, possibly could have been a 10-7. I give it 10-8, and so does the unofficial scorer, Lee A. Crooks. Johansson, after 11 rounds and 2 knockdowns, has a 109-99 lead. And I think Georgie Benton should really think about stopping his fight in the corner. I know it's the heavyweight tournament, but Jimmy Young really has no chance of winning this fight. As complete jubilation in the Ingemar Johansson corner with Whitey Bimstein and Freddie Brown. And Freddie Brown says, we have dinner reservations, let's take them out and go eat. Bimstein echoes the sentiment. Jimmy Young is just fighting on heart and guile now. His endurance is all but gone. Johansson, not known for his endurance, still has some left. And a commanding lead, fighting a fighter who has no power, whether fresh or not. Again, the cannon versus the pop gun, as I continue to say. Let's go to the stats. Jimmy Young just took a hellacious beating in round number 11. He only landed 11 punches. Ingemar Johansson thudded punches off Jimmy Young 42 times. And he landed the big right hand, which would eventually stagger, drop, and then stagger again Jimmy Young 12 times. And again, Ingemar Johansson works off his jab. You have to remember he won a silver medal in the 52 Olympics for Sweden. As we prepare for the 12th round, and this could be it for Jimmy Young. To the shock of the fans here in Philadelphia, Jimmy Young, the hometown son, they really thought they were going to see an upset here. And so I actually thought Jimmy Young was going to win this fight by decision. How wrong was I? Here's round number 12, and here comes the Ingo Dingo. Johansson quickly off his stool. Young ties him up on the inside. Young, practically nothing left. He looks exhausted. He throws a couple of jabs out there, gets a little space, and oh! Wow, man, did Johansson come quick with that right hand. And down goes Young for a third time, and miraculously, he gets up at the count of 3. Mercanti will complete the 8 count. Mercanti is looking on now. Johansson looking to stop it here and now in round 12, and there's plenty of time. Young is trapped in the corner, and Johansson is working him over with lefts and rights to the head and body. He is in a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble. Young pushes him back, tries to get back to the center of the ring, but he's eating punches. Johansson digs to the body, up to the head. Mercanti looking. Johansson's throwing. Mercanti, another right hand lands. This fight could be close to a stoppage, under a minute to go. Georgie Batten yelling for Young to cover up. He's blocking punches now. Ow! Another Ingo Dingo hammer. Thor, the looping right hand this time, nails. Young never saw the punch. Count is up to 5. Jimmy is 7. Young is up at the count of 8. Mercanti's going to let it go on. 15, that's it. Mercanti's seen enough. Young got hit with a couple more punches. Mercanti jumps in. It is a TKO for Ingemar Johansson with 13 seconds left in round number 12. What an impressive performance for Ingemar Johansson, the man from Sweden, and his right hand called the Hammer of Thor. To me, this is a bit of an upset with the way that Ingemar Johansson just absolutely decimated Jimmy Young. Jimmy Young, the man who went the distance with Kenny Norton, lost a close decision, controversial decision. Jimmy Young, who lost a controversial decision to Muhammad Ali. Jimmy Young, who beat George Foreman in Puerto Rico. Unbelievable. I did not expect this. I actually thought Jimmy Young, who was one of my favorite fighters as a kid, I thought he was going to pull off an upset here with his defensive ability. But Ingemar Johansson dropped him at the end of the first round and never looked back. He steamrolled him. Unbelievable. As Whitey Bimstein and Freddie Brown and the few Johansson fans in the crowd celebrate. And the fans are in shock here in Philadelphia. They have just seen their favorite son, Jimmy Young, wiped out. As Herb Pilgrim says, Adrian! Dog! Sidious in the chat. How are you, my friend? Reporting for the Star Wars Time. Has joined us from a galaxy far, far away at ringside. Remember, check out Dog Sidious's channel for all things Star Wars. And let's just go to the official announcement. Michael Buffer here in Philadelphia has the call. As we just witnessed the TKO and the absolute annihilation of Jimmy Young. Ladies and gentlemen, the referee, Arthur McCanty, stops the bout with 2:47 gone in round 12. Your winner is Ingemar Johansson, and he will be moving on to round 2 of the tournament. And probably one of the most impressive performances. Total domination. Even Rocky Marciano's win over David Tua, in which he was dominant, was not as dominant as this. But again, this was the perfect opponent for Ingemar Johansson when it came to no punching power. What surprised me, again, Johansson's hand speed is a little better than most people think, and he gets underestimated for his hand speed. And it was Johansson who dictated the pace. So, Jimmy Young is now out, and we'll put the simulation to his real record, so he'll fall to 34-19 with 3 draws and 11 knockouts. Ingemar Johansson, whose only 2 losses came to Floyd Patterson in championship bouts, will now move to 27-2-0 with 18 KOs. But before we go there, let's just take a look at the official scorecards. And after 11 rounds, Mickey Van from England had it. Wow, he had it much closer. 106-102. Oh, drug test Mickey Van on that one. I only gave Jimmy Young 2 rounds myself. Larry Hazard of the United States had it 108-99 for Ingemar Johansson. And Dong Eun Park of South Korea had it 107-100 for Ingemar Johansson. Now let's go to the final punch tabulations. Ingemar Johansson threw 759 punches. He landed 374, a plethora of right hands on the head of Jimmy Young. Jimmy Young threw 491 punches as he was just overwhelmed. He had the one round that he did win, but he had to put out such a tremendous effort to win that round. It took everything out of him. He landed 264. Jimmy Young, known for his jab, only landed 56. Ingemar Johansson doubled it, 107, almost doubled it. The hooks, Jimmy Young threw a lot of hooks, 54, Johansson 40. But look at the right hand. The thunder, the hammer of Thor, thunder and lightning, the right and left. The right hand landed 112 times. There's your difference there. The big right hand just landed over and over again. And Johansson knocked down Jimmy Young 4 times, finally TKOing in round 12 for the victory. Johansson landed almost 50% of his punches. Again, Johansson not the best defensive fighter. And again, Jimmy Young landed over 50%, 53%, almost 54% of his punches. But the big difference, Jimmy Young, no punching power. Again, I thought Jimmy Young was going to upset and win this fight. I didn't expect this. Wow. Let's go back to the fighters and let's update their records. Once again, Jimmy Young falls to TKO in 12. He's out of the tournament. He's now 34-19-3 with 11 knockouts. That's his real record combined with the simulation bout. And Ingemar Johansson advances to the second round. We don't know who yet. We have to complete all the first round bouts, and then there'll be a blind draw once again. And will Johansson luck out once again? We will see. He goes to 27 victories, 2 defeats. Again, there's only 2 defeats to Floyd Patterson. He beat Patterson in the first fight to take the heavyweight title. Would lose the rematch, Patterson becoming the first heavyweight to regain the title. And then in the rubber match, Patterson would knock him out once again. In all 3 fights, they all ended in knockouts. Johansson knocking out Patterson in the first fight. Patterson knocking out Johansson in the next 2. So 27-2, no draws, and 18 KOs. What a blitzing by the Hammer of Thor. Let's quickly go to the chat and ringside. Thank you to Herb Pilgrim, Beatles Eternally, D. Scott Howard, and Dog Sidious. I'm going to be back shortly with another bout if you are up. If not, catch it later. Chrissy Oldstones has joined us. How are you, Chrissy? Hope all is well. Check out that wonderful channel. Wonderful reading voice. Big Game of Thrones fan. So once again, Jimmy Young goes down to defeat to the Swedish Hammer, Ingemar Johansson, and the Hammer of Thor. TKO 12. Young is out of the heavyweight tournament. Ingemar Johansson wins and advances to the second round. It's Al Red Sox fan saying thank you very much. I'll be back shortly with another bout, and then we'll call it an evening. So health and happiness till next time. Watch out for that big right hand, and if you're fighting Ingemar Johansson, don't let him hit you with the Hammer of Thor, that's for sure. God bless, and peace!